Good afternoon. My name is Ayotunde Shado. I'm a user experience designer, uh, graphic designer. Yeah, that's about it. So today I'm going to be talking a little bit about something we're familiar with, something that is not new. It's called user experience design and its importance. I'm going to be talking about it in like a different light, talking about the effects, the impacts, both the negative and the positive parts. So I'll be telling you about the definition, the importance of UX design. I'm talking about a few cases, and then the UX process, the key elements of UX design, the method of evaluating UX design, importance of incorporating feedbacks into our design. So UX design is a process of enhancing satisfaction by improving the usability, accessibility, and overall experience. Now, when it comes to UX design, there are a few things that come to mind. Usability, and UX design is not only doesn't always have to do with technological centered products. It could do with products that are not really technological centered. Like for an example, I could say flying business class is actually an experience. It's a user experience. So it's not always maybe the interfaces, designing the interfaces or the experience of a digital or technological device or software that is involved in user experience. Other non-technological products and services too could also have user experience in them. So usability is basically one of the important things that we talk about in user experience. How usable is a product or service, and how it satisfies the customer, and of course accessibility. How accessible is it to all kinds of people, all demographics, um, all ages, and things that differentiates people. Some people might have disabilities. How accessible is it to them? So when we're talking about user X design is enhancing user satisfaction that improves usability, accessibility, and the overall experience of interacting with the product or service. It encompasses various elements, including the user research, interactive design, that's interaction design, visual design, and usability testing. So, as a user experience designer, what I basically do is I design user friendly interfaces or experiences that enables a user know how to use a product. And how I do this, I try to understand the user's needs, and then with that I can logically create a path step by step that either visually or institutionally communicates to the user what the user should do next. So as a user experience designer, there are three things that we always put in our minds. It's about empathy, it's about strategy, and the holistic image of the whole thing. So about empathy, you basically have to be able to understand what the user wants, the pains of the users, how to make the user satisfied, and how to exceed that user satisfaction, or what the user requires. And then strategic, you also have to think about the business needs, of course, because the users are not the only ones that benefit from a product. It has to meet your business goals as well. And then the holistic, you have to think of the entire ecosystem, how the products and the services and the user experience, how it ties in to the organization at large. So why user experience is important? Enhancing user satisfaction. A well-designed user experience creates a positive impression on the users. Once you can capture that positive impression on users, the users are happy to use your product. It's when you start the idea is to actually get things done, and get things done while they're smiling. They don't have to be, you know, there has to be a sense of, oh, this is actually a very sweet experience. I remember when Temple Run, the game came out in, I'm a gamer actually. I like to play video games, and because of the technology behind it and how it runs. So I remember the experience then, it was so enjoyable. But anyway, that's people have moved on to other things now. But that's having that user experience so enjoyable that it accomplishes the goal of being, of being delightful. So that's one of the things to enhance that user satisfaction. And then the next thing is to increase user engagement and conversion. When users interacted or have used the product and they get a positive experience from that product, they tend to want to tell other people, and they keep coming back to using that product. Like in the buyer's journey, a lot of people might think that just getting your customers to patronize you is the goal, but in reality, is retention. So bringing them back to the product to be able to use the product, to be able to interact with the product again and again, to be able to tell there are people that, hey, I've used this product and it was an amazing experience. All that is very important. Another thing that UX design does, it saves you costs and iteration. A development cost in terms of having a digital product when it's a digital product, because for digital products, if you have UX designers on board, you have the ability to create a prototype, or even for other products, so you can also create a prototype or a pilot that basically you can use to test that product without actually going through any development, without actually writing a line of code. You can actually test. You can have some form of usability testing to an extent. So that helps you save cost of development and having to want to change features and all that, because from the early stage of the project of creating the product, you can actually get a feel of how the users are going to react to it and the things you should do, even without having to go through that that process of developing, developing, whether it's an application or whatever it is. So it helps you save cost, and it also helps you save time too. I didn't mention that here, but like you say, time is money. So it helps you save your resources basically. Then competitive advantage in this age and time, because people are so focused on, especially the big guys, the big tech companies and other companies, they're so focused on customer satisfaction, on user experience. They've taken the game to a whole new level that if you're not user experience conscious, you probably won't even be on you won't even be play you won't be on the playing field at all. To be on the playing field, to be able to play, with these guys on the same level, and even to create that competitive edge, you have to do user experience design. You have to keep it in mind. You have to do your research. You have to know what works for the users and how you can beat the competition. Because trust me, the competition are doing everything possible to make sure they beat you. When talking about different organizations that have had some impact on the user experience or the businesses through user experience. So one of the most popular cases is the Amazon case of the $300 million button. So back in the days, Amazon, when they first started, a lot of people, they discovered that at a certain page, they had lots of customers bouncing off the page. It was a simple page. It just had a an email and password, and with the register button under it. So after the customers go to the store, and then they pick up all their items and put it in the cart, and then they want to jump into checkout, there's this page that comes up and tells them register, email, password. And then in reality, the guys they're like, why do I have to register? And so a lot of them bounced off that page. And then it became an issue that they had to do some research, or they had to get the UX guys on it, and they did some research, and they did a usability testing. So they got some customers, and collected their their shopping list, and then give them money, and then we're going to do some kind of observation basically on how they interact with the product. So they discovered that most of them, once they got to that page, they complain about the register button. They were like, I mean, one of them even said, I'm here to, I'm not here for a relationship. I just want to buy some stuff. And then, they just, a lot of them bounced off, and they discovered that they even had multiple in their database. They had multiple people trying to log in and register, because returning customers would actually go there and create another password, and then they were having issues with that. So all they did was they simply changed the register button to a continue button and added a message: you do not need to register to shop on this site. uh you can register or you do not need to register to shop on this site. You can shop without registering. Just that simple message. And in the first month, they got an increase in revenue of 15 million dollars. And at the end of the year, they saw an addition of 300 million dollars just by changing one button. And that's the power of user experience design. And then Prime Water Coopers, PwC, which is the adversary company, they're doing some research and discovered that 32% of negative experiences resulted from people never coming back to the product. They go to the product and they have a negative experience, and they're like, nah. And there is nothing you say that will make them go back to that product. Nothing. Years after years and after years, they don't just want to buy that product. I remember something happened to me actually, and I had unfortunately I purchased a Samsung phone that was some years ago, and apparently it was a fake Samsung phone. I didn't know it was a fake one, and I used it, and the experience was horrible. Eventually, I dashed it out to my sister. She left it in a hotel somewhere because she too didn't enjoy it. And ever since then, I never ever went close to any Samsung. This was what I'm talking about. It's about years ago, but I never ever went back to it. And I've always been an Apple guy since then. I mean, and I love the Apple experience. Not because the Samsung phones now are bad or anything. I hear they have, very good phones. It's 22 Ultra, 23 Ultra, and all that. But I can't use it because of that experience I had back in the day. So that's the effect of bad experience to your business. It could actually completely eliminate any potential customer that you could have now or in future. Bad user experience. I remember some years ago I was recruited by an organization that the organization actually they had a product. They were doing it was a trading company in West Africa. They had a product. It wasn't a regular security product they were trading. It was a niche product, but I don't want to go into details now. And their target audience were bouncing off the pages, and they were wondering why. So their marketing team contacted me and they wanted me to, do a research for them and then help build another, uh, design another landing page for their customers. They had a solid landing page, like industry standard. They had the everything, the hero page, the FAQs, the social proof on it. And had a video, an explainer video, and but they were all bouncing off that page, like they're not interested. And so when I started doing my research, I got a focus group, I discovered that some things very unique about this whole experience. And they were spending a lot of money too on marketing, a ton of money. And then I discovered that that some of those guys were not using flagship phones. They were using the phone that was created by a company called Transsion Holdings. Transsion Holdings is a big is a Chinese company, but it's big in West Africa. They have one of the largest markets of phones like I think Infinix and Techno and the rest of them. So those are the kind of phones those guys were using. That was the first thing I discovered. And then another thing I found out is there was no integrity on the site. They didn't trust the site. So, and then the other thing I found out was a lot of them, their social class, they couldn't really afford to use, to watch long form videos. They didn't want to save their data, or their internet was not strong because of the locations that they were in and all. So those were things that I gathered from my research. And at the end of the day, all I did was, from that research, I was able to get things I needed for the interface, that's for the user experience of the landing page, and also some other information that eventually helped the marketing team. Like the Transsion Holding Company, they actually had a marketing part that I could actually just push marketing content to these mobile phones, even without internet. So we leveraged on that, and then we got a celebrity because the site needed credibility. We got a celebrity picture, and I just created a very, very short landing page. It didn't have any video in it. It had infographics, bullet points, the picture of the celebrity, and then the call to action button, and that was it. And with that alone, within 3 weeks, we had 6,000, over 6,000 active traders on the website within just because of just one page, which wasn't a fancy page. It didn't, but because it was tailored, it was user centered. It did a lot of conversion, and with a shoestring budget of just about $7,000, we're able to get over 6,000 active traders on the site in less than 3 weeks. And yeah, that was the first time I actually saw, because I was 100 in the project. First time I actually saw the effect of good user experience. That's from the research part to the actual testing part. And yeah, so that happened. And user experience is actually very, very important. But and that's why the big companies, the social media platforms, the tech giants, they're focused on just trying to catch your attention. They're focused on user experience. They've done it so well, seamlessly, that when you're on Instagram, before you're swiping, and then 4 hours is going, and it's causing very horrible negative effects on the community, on the society, because people are glued to their phones, they're not communicating. Tons of things are happening. A couple of days ago, I was talking to my wife, and she was complaining that this is my iPhone, the battery seems to be bad. And I was wondering, because she said that the battery always always dies on time. And then I said, okay, let me see. And then I collected her phone and checked her screen time, and it was over 10 hours. And I'm very sure like 4 hours of that was maybe on social media. So if we look at all our phones too, we discover that we spend a ton of time on social media, because this is what these tech companies are doing. They have made it a mission to capture your attention and keep it there. And they do this with excellent user experience. Excellent user experience. So even the amount of divorces, I think in year 2019, in the US was over 800,000. 33% are blaming Facebook for this. 33% of those people that got divorced in that year, out of the 800,000, they are blaming Facebook for this, because their partners keep jumping on Facebook and doing all kinds of things, posting all kinds of things, and that actually affected their marriages. This is 2019. I hope that data is better now. I don't have that data now, but I hope it's better now. Yeah. I think next time I'm probably going to do a topic on negative effect of user experience in today, because it's really it could be positive, but it could be also be negative. I remember last year, I don't know if Instagram did not actually do, actually wanted to take out the number of likes, or when you like a product, because they wanted to take out you know the number of likes that are shown, just to help people with mental health issues and all that. And people that are searching for those dopamine hits from likes and all that, they try to but I don't know if they eventually did that. But I still look at my Instagram and I still see a number of likes and all that, just so they could reduce the effect of social media on people. All this is just the effect of user experience on a business or on users, of good user experience on users. Examples of companies with exceptional good user experience. Apple. I've always been an Apple fan. I had an iPod way back in the days. I know a lot of Gen Zs might not know what that is, but it was before the iPhone came out. It had a very sweet user experience. Spotify, Deezer, all these music applications, they've done so well on capturing our attention. The algorithm they use, it knows exactly what the brain wants. Like, we all know how the brain works. The brain works using nerve cells. These nerve cells that basically gain information from what we see, what we hear, what we smell, and then stores that information in our brain. And that's what's responsible for us recognizing colors, shapes, faces of people, and stuff like that. And the nerve cell that is responsible for music and storing what we hear, I think it's called the auditory cortex. And so the auditory cortex is how you can identify genres of music, because it stores beat patterns and all this. So these apps, they have this information. They know that your auditory cortex has a certain uh type of music that is stored there. So what they do is, once you've played a few, some of them, when you start up the application, it tells you to pick the kind of artist you like. You tap tap tap. So it's that concept that it uses to pick other genres, other sounds that sound similar, and then they play it for you. And then when you discover that you're on shuffle, on maybe on Deezer or Spotify, and then it just keeps playing the kind of music you like, just keeping your attention on that application. That's also user experience. That's also good user experience. And then Airbnb, the website, easiest way to book. And then Waze, for those of you that live in the UK, the Waze application is like Google Maps. It's an amazing application. I use it all the time. It shows you what lane to stay. It's excellent user experience. Of course, PlayStation, Xbox, ooh, and even some of the games they have. I remember the first time I played Gears of War. The user experience was so good. The buttons, the controls, the you know, it was just a sweet experience. That's why we have a lot of gamers glued to their their consoles now. I remember just a few days ago, I saw my nephew. He was just stuck on, I don't even know what game he was playing, because of how sweet. Let me use the word sweet. The user experience is. So user experience is very important too. So PlayStation 5, Xbox Series X, they have very good user experience. And then the user experience design process. I'm very short of time, so I'm just going to go through the whole process. The research process is where you're gathering research, studying the users, the ideation, coming up with and evaluating possible solutions. You can create the prototyping. That's when you're actually creating a prototype for digital products. You probably want to do like a wireframe stage, which is a low fidelity design first of all, before you do the high fidelity, before you prototype it, and then the user testing. And the process is, there are a lot of iteration going on. You design, you test, you design, you test, to make it perfect. So this is basically the process of user experience. So key elements of user experience design. I mentioned usability, how easy and effective it is to use and accomplish certain tasks and products is very important. That's what we are always kicking for, usability. And then aesthetic, it has to be appealing to the eyes. I've been into visual design for a long time. It's because I've always liked different things. I went to a fashion school, anything visually appealing. So aesthetics is always very important. People are more visual learners than text. And accessibility, how easy is it to use? I think there's a community in the UK now that talks about there's a guideline. I can't remember what it's called now, a guideline in which you have to abide to, because you have to consider people with disabilities, how they can interact with different products, and all that. So accessibility is how easy is it for all users, all kinds of users, to actually interact with your product or your service. Credibility, how trustworthy and credible the product appears to the users. Methods of evaluating user experience design. So to evaluate your experience, usability testing, that's user testing, testing the products. Your product should actually be user centered because users know they know best. Times that you might There are times that you might think that you have the answers. You might think that you already know the answers, but the truth is the users are the ones that can actually give you the answers. Analytic data, the data you collect, the tracking of the behaviors of the users on the whether it's a website, whether uh, it's on other a service, your pain points. You need to track all those data. Customer feedback. You always need to get feedback from the customers. That's why I said that the entire process it's a continuous process. You get feedback, you adjust, you get feedback. Your job. If you go to all those big brands, you notice that they keep giving updates on the application because they keep getting feedbacks and they keep adapting or adapting to what the customer wants. That's why I lots of times when I see different applications we use, they pop up and they're asking for feedback, or you purchase something from Amazon or any of this Etsy or any of these other sites, and then they ask you for a feedback. I always try as much as possible to give them feedback because at the end of the day, I'm the user and they are only trying to make the product or service better for me. So importance of incorporating user feedback into design decisions. User feedback is a key element of UX design. By listening to the user's needs, preference, and experiences, designers can create products that are tailored for their user base, leading to higher satisfaction, loyalty, and adoption rates. So feedbacks are very, very important because that's you have to be in constant dialogue to actually communicate with your users. That's why I really like some of those digital products that are interesting, where you can build community, where the company can actually build a community with the users, because with that you can get first-hand data, talking to these users and knowing what they want, what they like, their dislikes, and things you can do to improve the product and the service. So this is basically what we've talked about. Told you about the user experience design. I've told you that it's about usability and accessibility. It's about studying what the user wants and actually creating the best possible way to for the user to actually achieve or interact with your product and to interact your product and actually achieve their goals and exceeding the expectations of the user. Basically, I've told you about the importance of UX design. I told you how important it is to saving costs, to increasing conversion, and to actually delivering excellent user satisfaction. And I mentioned the case studies too. I talked about Amazon and how botting led them to increase in revenue of about 45% increase in revenue in a year. I talked about the dangers as well. I talked about how the social media platforms are trying as much as possible to get your attention and to keep your attention, and yeah, how dangerous that could be. So even user experience designers, we have to look for a way to actually make sure that we protect our community and society as well. I talked about the UX process. I talked about the key elements of UX design, the method of evaluating UX design, and which I mentioned feedback too, which and I eventually talked about the importance of incorporating feedbacks into our design. You have to keep talking to the customers, basically, and the users to know what they want. So basically, to have a solid UX put together, user experience put together, you have to be human centered. You have to be user centered. Your user should determine, and also I also mentioned that you have to be strategic too. You have to also achieve the business goals, which are very important. So I hope with these little points of mine, I've been able to convince you that it is very important for uh, UX design in life, basically in everything that we do. The experience is always important. In servicing users, you always have to make sure you have a good UX design in place, because that's the best way to know what your customers want and to keep your customers satisfied and to make the best of your products. So thank you, everyone. I remain Ayotunde Shado. Till next time.
Welcome to Join Momentum, where we're not just a company, but a community of digital innovators. At Join Momentum, our mission is simple yet powerful: to accelerate digital talents and business productivity through practical work experiences, trainee internships, and talent placement. We believe in the transformative power of hands-on experience and mentorship, so all our associates learn by doing, not just theories. Through these efforts, we build innovative products and solutions that address user needs and create value for our candidates, clients, and stakeholders. You can partner with us in our mission to accelerate digital talents and increase business productivity by working with us, hiring our talents, or investing in us. This is Join Momentum.
Tired of learning job skills from textbooks? Meet Job Simulator AI. We've built the first AI platform that lets you practice real jobs in a safe, virtual environment. It's like a flight simulator, but for careers. Practice real jobs, get real proof, build a portfolio of completed simulations, earn performance badges inspired by industry leaders, showcase verified skills to employers, get instant AI feedback on your progress. For educational institutions, be among the first schools and universities to give your students practical job experience before graduation. Limited early access spots available. For businesses, sponsor industry-specific simulations to showcase your brand. Build a pipeline of practice-ready talent. Connect with candidates who excel in your simulations. Transform employee training and reduce onboarding time. For training providers, add hands-on practice to your existing courses. Differentiate your offering with AI-powered simulations. Give learners verifiable proof of practical skills. Scale your training impact globally. For students and job seekers, stop wondering if you're ready for that dream job. Start practicing it today. Join our early access waitlist. Ready to revolutionize job training? Sign up for early access at www.jobsimulator.ai. The future of work is hands-on. Don't just learn it, leave it.